If you're an estate agent covering too many postcodes and failing to hit your goals in your business, this video is going to show you why shrinking your focus could actually double your market share. And it's the same method that the top agents use to dominate their local marketplace. In my personal experience, many estate agents spread themselves simply too thin over a large area. Now I get it, when you first launch an estate agency business, you look at the map and go, oh my God, more households equal the more people I can deal with, equal more potential deals, which equal more money for myself. But actually you find it's generally the complete inverse of this. Generally you find if you cover such a wide area, actually no one has any idea who you are. So therefore by zooming in where you're covering, you actually find that you get far more laser focus on your ideal client and actually they know who you are as an individual. And generally, as any business will say, the first problem you've got is, does anybody even know you exist? So they know they've got a problem. Do they know that you can solve it? If you get to that first barrier, you're onto a winner. If they've got no idea who you are, then you're a bit stuffed. So when I first finished writing Your First £100,000 Estate Agency, I set a line in the sand of about 5,000 households per salesperson within the team. So if you're a one-person band, for example, 5,000 households should be absolutely plenty. If you were two salespeople, for example, then look at it, go, right, 10,000 should be about right. But the older I get, I think to myself, actually, 5,000 is probably still quite a large number. So if anything, I'll be looking to pull this back slightly. Maybe 4,000, 3,500, that sort of direction is absolutely fine for your business. More doesn't equal more in this equation. The bigger you are, the larger your spread, you'll find that the less penetration you have within the local marketplace. A common question I get asked here is, can you split this over multiple postcodes? And the answer is yes and maybe no. So yes, you can split that up. So you could potentially say that I've got two areas with 2,000 households within. That's absolutely fine. No problem at all. But they need to be quite close together. What we don't want to have is 2,000 households down here on one side of town and 2,000 households on the other side of town, because that doesn't make it practical for your business, because you'll be zigzagging backwards and forwards to different sides of town all day, all week, and that isn't practical. So if you do want to do it, make sure you've got two areas that are fairly close to each other. So a couple of postcodes over is absolutely fine, but nothing more than a 15-20 minute drive on top of it. Otherwise, you spend so much time in your car, you just waste effort. So as you spoke about just now, the biggest issue you've got in your business is probably that no one knows who you are. You probably think to yourself, I'm a really good estate agent. If my phone just rang more, I could see more people and show them how great I am. All the clients you've worked with might give you 5-star reviews and said you're absolutely awesome and recommended you to friends and family, but you're not getting that cold interest. So the first thing you need to organize is, does anybody know who you are? Now, the average estate agent is up against 12 estate agents in their local town. I know 12. The average person can only name 3. Automatically, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of hopefully being in that 1 or 3 people that people can name in their local area to sell properties. So that is goal number 1, is do we make sure that people know, like, and trust us in that local area? And if they were going to sell their property, they even think of our business, or do they just think of a large corporate brand because they've got a larger marketing budget? So when you're researching your area, first of all, you need to make sure there's enough business for you to survive. So we've said already we're competing against about 12 agents in the local area. So let's say, as nice round figures, we want to get to a 10% market share. I know it doesn't quite work out maths-wise, but it makes the maths nice and easy. So we want to get to a 10% market share. If we took a tenth of the marketplace that we've got in that core patch of those 4,000 households, 5,000 households, does that give enough business for us to survive and have the business we want? So let's say, for example, your goal is to sell 50 houses over the next 12 months. Great, rather have 500 houses selling in the local area, because make sure when you get 10% of that, is that going to be enough for you to hit it? If you aren't getting enough figures in there, you want to look at a different area with a slightly more buoyant marketplace. Or you could potentially expand the area slightly, but I'd be very hesitant for this for all the reasons we talked about already. So we mentioned about people knowing, liking, and trusting ourselves. There is actually a proven formula by the nice people over at Google, which lays out exactly what we need to do for people to know, like, and trust us. And we know that people buy from people they trust, and they trust people because they like them, and they like them because they know them. So therefore, that's the order we should look at things going forward with. So how do we get people to know, like, and trust us in the local area? Well, the figures we need to know are 7, 11, and 4. So the first one is 7, which is 7 hours worth of content. So if I sat down in a cinema and watched a few films back to back, the same actor or actress in it, I would get to the end of that and I'd go, I really like that person. They seem really, really good, honest person, likable person. When in reality, I've not met them in real life. So they could be great, they could be terrible, I don't really know. And the reason why this works is because your mind doesn't know the difference between real life and what you're seeing on screen. So if I see someone on screen for a long time, my mind thinks I've spent a long time with them. When I haven't, I've just seen them on screen. And we're going to take full advantage of this. The next thing we're looking at is 11. This is 11 marketing touch points. So how many times do they receive marketing from ourselves? So for example, if I dropped 11 leaflets to your front door over 2 weeks, you'd probably see me as that annoying leaflet guy. Great. Well, at least you know who I am in that situation. So 11 marketing touch points for someone know, likes, and trusts us. And finally, we want to view it over 4 different mediums. So there are 4 different places where they can see our names. So this might be a for sale board outside one of their neighbors' homes, for example. They might receive a leaflet from ourselves. They might have seen a branded car driving around. They might have seen us on social media. So it's 4 different locations they've seen us. Once you're doing all these things correctly, you hear things like, oh my God, I see you everywhere. I see your board. I see you online. I get your letters. I see you everywhere. That is exactly what you want to be hearing in your estate agency business. And you simply can't do that if you're covering a too wider area. So if you covered an area that had 100,000 households, for example, and you're trying to get to 11 marketing touch points, that's 1.1 million marketing touch points for everyone in that area knows, likes, and trusts you. Now, I'm unsure what your marketing budget is in your business, but I'm willing to bet it doesn't push to 1.1 million marketing touch points on a regular basis in the local area. So therefore, by shrinking that area right the way down to 5,000 households, we can actually get to those figures quite quickly, where people in the area will know, like, and trust us. And so when it comes to selling their property, I think, who do I know, like, and trust? Whose marketing do I see a lot of? Whose name do I see a lot of? And then you can go out and get in that person's living room and show them exactly how great you are because you're already a step ahead of the pack. The big mistake that agents make is that simply they're spread too thin over such a wide area, they just don't get the traction they need. And this is where people say expressions like, oh, leaflets don't work in my area, or letters don't work in my area, or even social media doesn't work in my area. It's simply because they just haven't done it enough. Or if they are doing it enough, it's not concentrated in a small enough area. I had a client some years ago who once a year they would do an enormous leaflet drop, 50,000 leaflets to the entire area, and every year I told them not to bother. And the reason why is because every year they got absolutely nothing back from it. The reason why is because that was the first bit of marketing those people have received since the last leaflet drop a year ago. So that person could turn around and go, leaflets don't work, Chris. And in some ways, they'd be right. There'd be leaflets don't work in the way that they do it. But if we shrunk that area right the way down, and instead of sending it to all those people, we scheduled that over a month period going out, those people would understand who we are and what we were about. Don't just be a flash in the pan big campaign. Instead, look at that really small, hyper-local area and see what content they're going to see and receive from us on a regular basis. The final thing I would look at in this is what I would see as avoidable marketing and non-avoidable marketing. So for example, you might say to me now, Chris, I post on social media every single day and I update my social media about what's going on in the local marketplace. I could turn around and I go, great, okay, but I don't follow you on social media. So therefore, I see nothing from you whatsoever. On the other hand, if you've got a for sale board outside my neighbor's house, I'm going to see it twice a day as I go in and out from my driveway. Or if you put a leaflet or a letter to my front door, or you knock on my front door, I can't avoid that marketing. I have to see it. I can't just close my eyes and open the front door and pretend you're not there. It's unavoidable marketing. Whereas things like your social media, for example, your listings on Rightmove, your email campaigns, if I'm not on your email campaign database, I won't receive that from you. If I don't follow you on social media, I won't see that from you. You need to go where people can't avoid you. So for example, if I'm in local Facebook groups and you're commenting and engaging with content all the time, I'm not specifically going on that platform to see you, but you are there when I get on there. So therefore, look at what marketing is going out in your business, what can be avoided and what can't be avoided. The idea being that you get the balance between the two, to say, look, we're going to put this stuff in front of you, but if you want to find us, we've got even more stuff behind the curtain as well. Okay, so to summarize today, you are probably covering a too larger area in your estate agency business. One of the first things I do with my clients is review what area they're covering, and usually we cut it in half pretty quickly, if not more so. This improves the traction they get in their marketing in their local area. The next thing we'll look at is that 7-11-4 strategy. What marketing is that local area receiving from yourself? Make it hyper local about what's going on in their exact local marketplace. And finally, make sure we're choosing the right 5,000 household area to make sure it's got the amount of traction in that area with properties coming on the market and going under offer to make sure you can survive and have the business you want. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want some further details about how to set up your ideal perfect patch, you can download a free copy of my best-selling book, Your First £100,000 Estate Agency. Just DM us the word book over on Instagram. I'll see you soon.